Kindergarten friends, welcome to our reading lesson for the day. So today we are going to be talking about a few vocabulary words. So the first one we're talking about is travel. One way to travel is to fly in an airplane. When you travel, you move from one place to another. So if you go in a car or on the bus, even walking is traveling from one place to another. So think about where in the world you would like to travel. Unfortunately, we're not able to travel anywhere right now, which is why you are at home. But just think where you would like to travel. Like one place I would really like to travel is to Boston. I would love to be able to see a Red Sox game and explore a different place. So think about where you'd like to travel. Okay. All right, so our story today is called Anna Goes to Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is a very important place because that is where our president lives. And so it's pretty far away. It's in a different state. So we're going to look at our cover and we're going to make some predictions. What do you think Anna will see there? And you might see this place in the background, and we're going to be learning about what that is. And now you have to think, is this book, would it be informational or fiction? Remember, informational is where we're going to learn real facts and information. If it would be fiction, fiction means fake. So I want you to think, do you think it's informational or fiction? If you said informational, you are correct, because we are going to be learning facts and information about different places in Washington, D.C. All right, so if you have anybody at home that has ever been to Washington, D.C., maybe they can even add some more information. I've never been to Washington, D.C., but it is a really cool place with a lot of history. There's lots of stuff that has happened there and lots of places and buildings to see. We are in Washington, D.C. It is the capital of the United States, said Anna to Mama and her little sister, Sarah. Anna ran and hugged her tia, Louisa, and said, I cannot wait to visit the historic places. So she is going to visit. Tia means aunt in Spanish. The next morning, Anna and Sarah were holding a large map. Look, Sarah, we will visit all these places. Here is the map of all the places they can visit that are in Washington, D.C. So it shows the street names, and then it shows a picture like the White House, which is where the president lives. And then it has another street name, New York Avenue, the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, the U.S. Capitol, the Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial. We learned about that when we talked about the penny. And then Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, which we also talked about. Remember when we talked about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. back in January when we celebrated his birthday. Tia Louisa and Mama waved American flags. They gave flags to Anna and Sarah. Anna opened the front door and said, ready, set, let's go. Do you think that they're excited to go to new places? I think that they are. This is the National Mall, Tia Louisa said. I don't see any stores, Sarah said. There are no stores here, Tia Louisa replied. Usually when you think about a mall, you think about a place with lots of shopping stores. But this type of mall isn't. It has lots of historical places. Sarah turned around and said, I get it. Instead of stores, this mall has historic buildings. Look here, do you see some real places? Like right here. Do you see that? And this was in the map as well. Again, that's the capital. What is this tall building? Asked Anna. It looks like a giant number 1, Sarah said. This is the Washington Monument, Tia Louisa said. It was built to honor the first president or leader of the United States, George Washington, which is why they call it the Washington Monument. Look at how tall that is. Can you see on this picture some things that are real? Here is the Washington Monument. This is real. Do you see something that was illustrated or drawn that doesn't show something real? The people right here. Tomorrow, when you work on your reading page, you're going to have to think about this page and what is real and what looks like it's drawn. Mama opened her purse. Look, his face is on the dollar bill and the quarter, Anna cried. And we've been learning about money, so there's George Washington. He is on the quarter and the dollar bill. That's pretty special that his face is on two things of money. Do you remember who this is? Abraham Lincoln. Do you remember what coin he's on? If you said penny, you are correct. And in this temple, as in the hearts of the people for whom he saved the Union, the memory of Abraham Lincoln is enshrined forever. So there is a picture of him, and he is in Washington, D.C. as well, because he was a very important president. Who is this tall man sitting on that big chair? Anna asked. He is Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president. He ended slavery and helped keep the United States together, Tia Louisa said. He is also on the pennies that Sarah and I put inside our piggy banks, Anna said. So slavery is where people would make other people just do everything for them. They didn't treat them very well. A lot of times they would hit them or they would spit on them to get them to do work. And Abraham Lincoln said that was not okay. So he actually was a very important president and ended that. So that's what slavery means. So it wasn't something that was very nice. And so he stood up for that. Who lives in this beautiful house? Anna asked. Do you know who lives in it? The president. Do you know who the president is? Donald Trump. He's been on the TV a lot lately, so maybe you're really familiar with him now if you weren't before. The President of the United States lives in the White House, Tia Louisa said. Can we knock and say hello? Anna and Sarah asked. The president is a busy person, Tia Louisa said, but I have tickets to get inside. Yes, said everyone. So you can go there and you can tour the White House. It doesn't mean you're going to meet or see the president in there because he's a pretty busy person. But you can go in there because the White House has a ton of rooms in it and lots of extra space. So they actually give tours of the White House. This building is bigger than my whole school, Anna said. It is the Capitol building. They make laws here, Tia Louisa said. Are laws like school rules? Anna asked. Tia Louisa and Mama nodded. We need to follow rules or we will get in trouble, Anna said to Sarah. So this is a place where they can make lots of important laws that will keep us safe. So like when we have a speed limit where you can't go past a certain speed on the road, that is a law. And this is a place where they said that you can't do that you had to be safe. And so the president gets to help make those laws. Look, there are also statues sitting on chairs here. Anna pointed at them. This is the Supreme Court, Tia Louisa said. When people do not agree, the Supreme Court decides what is fair. The Supreme Court is like a teacher. or a parent right now. Teachers talk to children when they argue, Anna said. So if you're in an argument with your brother, you might say, Mom, my brother did this. And you might say, well, he did this to me. And your parent has to listen and decide who's right and how you solve it. That's just like what they do in the Supreme Court. You have a judge who kind of decides who's right and who's not. And sometimes they also give you a punishment if you're not right. Welcome to the Library of Congress, Tia Louisa said. There are so many beautiful books here, said Anna. I love to read books to Sarah. That is a really cool and big library. Looks a little bit bigger than our one at school. Do you think they have a lot more books there probably? I think you're right. Almost all of the books published in the United States are here, Tia Louisa said. I would love to read them all one day, Anna said. Tia Louisa and Mama smiled. I wonder if they have any Clifford books in there. Do you think they have Clifford? Probably not. Maybe though. Do you remember who this is? Let's read and find out. They went back to the National Mall and walked across Independence Avenue. Look, I know the man in the statue, Anna said. He is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he had a dream for everyone to be treated fairly. This is his memorial, Tia Louisa said. I will work for my dreams too, Anna said. So again, we talked about him and how he wanted everybody to be treated fairly. And this is a beautiful part in Washington, D.C. And actually, I think you can even see this where they're filming these online right now because so many people want to go and see the cherry blossoms. So I think you can even maybe search that at home and you could actually see them live and how they're blooming. Anna and her family walked among the flowering cherry trees. Look at the beautiful cherry blossoms, Anna said. These trees are a gift from Japan to celebrate the friendship between our two countries, Tia Louisa said. They sat down and watched the paddle boats go by. Anna hugged Tia Louisa and said, "Thank you for this wonderful day. I will never forget it." Those are beautiful trees. All right, and we'll read this one. You will read this story later on this week. So friends, after we read our stories, usually on the following day, we will have some questions that we have to answer. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about one thing or two things that you learned from Anna Goes to Washington, D.C., and I want you to tell your families one thing that you remember. If you can't remember anything, you can always go to our Wonders and you can reread the story on your iPad or your tablet, and we have that story there for you. So tomorrow you will be going to do our Reading Close Companion page. So you'll have to look back at page 6 in our book, and you'll have to answer these questions about the map that we looked at the beginning of the story. Again, if you go to your Wonders page, that book there is assigned for you, so you can go back and look at that. So this is for tomorrow, but I just wanted to give you a preview. So you use page 6 and the map to answer these questions. And then we also have page 10, and you'll be looking back at that page to answer what is real and what is make-believe. And we talked about that. Remember the Washington Monument that was really tall and the picture of the people? So you'll go back and you'll answer these questions based off of page 10. So I hope you enjoyed our story today, and we'll see you next time. Bye, friends.